Bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Good evening, everyone. We are delighted to welcome you today. Je suis très heureux de vous accueillir aujourd'hui pour le lancement de l'édition virtuelle de We Robot 2020. I am delighted to welcome you today for the launch of the virtual edition of We Robot 2020, the premier international conference on the law and policy relating to robotics, hosted this year at the University of Ottawa Centre for Law, Technology and Society. For those who don't know me, my name is Florian Martin Barito. I am an associate professor of law, the University Research Chair in Technology and Society, and the director of the Centre for Law, Technology and Society at the University of Ottawa. And tonight I'm here to welcome you with my dear co-chairs, and I will invite them to introduce themselves. Jason, Katie.
Hey
Hello.
there. Yeah, technical difficulties as usual. No, I'm really happy to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason Miller. I am also an assistant professor here at the University of Ottawa. I sit in the engineering faculty. Most of the work that I do is on kind of ethics and robotics, ethics and artificial intelligence. But welcome everybody to We Robot. We're so happy to see so many names popping into the meeting, and like I said in the chat, familiar faces and new faces. Welcome to everybody that we're finally starting We Robot 2020, and we'll have a lot to talk about tonight. Katie?
Awesome. And my name is Katie Salegi. I'm a part-time professor in the law school, and I'm finishing up my PhD focused on issues of artificial intelligence and the rule of law. Definitely a lot of excitement from all of us to see you participating here. And again, just as Jason said, so many familiar names, making us really excited about the program that we have ahead of us for the next couple of days.
Exactly. We're like super excited to finally launch We Robot in the time of pandemic where we had to reinvent everything. But before anything else, whenever we gather for an important event such as this one, it's our custom at the University of Ottawa to offer an indigenous affirmation in support of reconciliation. Although tonight we're hosting a virtual event, and we are like all of us located literally across the globe, myself, I'm presently located on unceded traditional Algonquin territory. And as one of its uninvited visitor, I benefit every day from my continued presence on this territory. And so we as the University of Ottawa and myself pay respect to the Algonquin people who are the traditional guardians of this land. We acknowledge their long-standing relationship with this territory, which remains unceded. Nous rendons également hommage à tous les peuples autochtones qui habitent à Ottawa, qu'ils soient de la région ou d'ailleurs au Canada. Nous reconnaissons les gardiens des savoirs traditionnels, jeunes et âgés. Nous rendons également hommage à tous les peuples autochtones qui habitent Ottawa, qu'ils soient de la région ou d'ailleurs, et à tous les peuples dans le monde entier. Today, more than ever, in a pandemic world of virtual meetings, gathering, teaching, classes, and so on, such affirmation and acknowledgement are important. We need to recognize that not everyone is connected in the same way and treated the same way by technology, especially as robotics, AI, digital platforms have become the new tools of colonialism, where settlers are using technology to continue racist behaviors against indigenous, Black, people of color, member of the LGBTQS community, and everybody that is different. I know that this is an issue, and we know that this is an issue close to the heart of the members of the We Robot community, and we would have loved to welcome you with our friends on Algonquin territory to have that conversation, that much needed conversation. In lieu of this, tonight, we're launching this virtual edition of We Robot 2020, but many of the papers engage with this conversation, and we know that that will happen on YouTube, on Twitter, and hopefully one day again face to face. And before explaining in details how we have reinvented this amazing conference, that amazing gathering, we would like to thank the organization who made this possible, who initially made that ReRobot 2020 for the first time outside of the US, for the first time in Canada, in Ottawa, in April, and who continue to support us through that pandemic, and who have been amazing in supporting us to reinvent ReRobot 2020. And so first and foremost, we would like to acknowledge and thank Microsoft, our presenting sponsor, for their generous support, as well as CIFAR, our leading sponsor. Similarly, we have been supported by our network sponsors, X, the Moonshot Factory, and Intel Corporation. And also a big thank to our sponsors, the University of Washington Technology Policy Lab and the University of Miami School of Law. Like every year I've been supporting that conference. And of course, the last but not the least, the University of Ottawa. So we're like three of us today in front of you, but we have received immense support from the Office of the Vice President Research, the Faculty of Engineering, and the Faculty of Law Common Law Session, both with funding, but also with logistic support. And in a time of uncertainty at the beginning of the pandemic, with their moral support and making sure that we could organize everything in a timely manner. So thank you, everybody in those organizations. We'd like also to acknowledge the generous contribution from the Government of Canada International Development Research Centre, RDRC, that had made funding available through that was supposed to be a brand new program, the RDRC ReRobot Global Voices Fellows, that would have allowed researchers from the Global South to attend about 2020 in Ottawa and make sure that we have even more inclusive and diverse audience in the room. Sadly, that was not possible, but I'm looking forward to continue the conversation with them to support a more global and inclusive conversation about technology, robotics, and AI. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Jason to explain to you a bit how we have redesigned with Katie that great conference. Again, so happy to see you tonight, all connected, and so looking forward to the conversation we're gonna have this week.
Yeah, so at this point, I feel like I'm going to continue talking a little bit about what we had planned, but sadly, just because of everything, had to cancel for this year's ReRobot. I mean, we were so excited, and the timing, as you all know, was just unbelievable. I mean, it was literally, a week and a half, I think, if I can recall. It feels like on one hand so long ago, and on the other hand, just like yesterday. But it was so close to the event, and we really, I mean, just I can't describe the feeling. It was such a disappointment knowing that we weren't well, at first hoping that we would be able to welcome everybody back maybe around this time in the fall. But then very quickly realizing that we had to make some significant changes and try to understand what those changes meant for the program that we had put quite a bit of work into, and that the program committee, who I have to thank for their patience and ongoing support, had put a lot of thought into discussing and approving, and they've been very, very, very supportive. So I just want to thank the program committee for the work that they did, that both leading up to the initial conference that we'd planned for you, the in-person conference, but also in helping us to reimagine and kind of regroup for this virtual edition, which we're also very excited for. I want to acknowledge the work that that my students did. We had a trivia night that was planned for you. I can tell you that for the next We Robot, we have an epic trivia night planned and ready to go. We can add to it over the year. But I do want to acknowledge my student Emily, who took the lead on that and did a lot of work. She was very committed to that project. We had plans to have art installations, which sadly we just felt could not be represented adequately on a virtual format. And we dropped that. I'll let Katie talk a little bit about maybe the workshop day that also was planned. Katie, do you want to just do a quick mention of that, because it's definitely worth talking about, because it's a normal part of We Robot.
So one part of the conference that sadly we couldn't meaningfully adapt to an online setting are those conversations on the workshop day. And we were really excited to, sit around circular tables and brainstorm and think about how we were going to build a better future in various ways. And there were a lot of folks who were instrumental in that, in particular, Sue Gluck, Woody Hartzog, and Howard Chisek, who were on the workshop committee and had a lot of really fabulous ideas about how to bring technology, law, and policy into meaningful experiential activities. I also want to give a shout out to Aurelia Tamo and Simon Mayer from Zurich. They were going to come with a prototype of their robot. We had this really excellent set of things that were all scheduled, and sadly we couldn't do that. So we'll hope that sometime in the future we'll be able to welcome them with that robotic prototype. And as well, there were a bunch of people who were lined up to be on panels and a fireside chats about global perspectives for AI and robotics on the workshop day. So our heartfelt thanks to all of you, and we're so sorry that there wasn't a space for that in this reimagined format.
So, in raising all of these, these great things that we had planned, the intent is not to, lament the fact that we can't do it this year. But it's really, I think, to highlight the challenge that we faced moving into the summer, which was that the people who love We Robot the most and have contributed over the years into making it such a wonderful event, they emphasize those activities because it's a part of the community building. So, the spirit of We Robot is very much focused on community building, in bringing people together to cross academic and professional boundaries, to have meaningful conversations about the topics that are featured at the conference every year. So really, that's the spirit of We Robot. And in moving into the summer and trying to reimagine what we could do with the conference in a virtual format, those are, to a certain extent, was a very tough challenge for us. And it became clear that we were not going to be able to accommodate all the types of activities that we're so used to engaging in as part of that community. That said, we're all very excited about what we have planned for you. What we decided to do was move to this virtual format. We wanted to integrate that, the tradition of discussion and conversation, which is so much a part of the single track program that has been at the center of the academic and scientific portion of the programming from day one. We didn't want to deviate from that, but we had to make some compromises. That said, the other thing that we were very excited about doing, and I'll mention this quickly before I hand it over to, before we start talking about the logistics for the week and how everything's going to run, and this will be a little bit more conversational. But we wanted to point out that one of the things that we were able to do by going virtual was very easily open the conference up to anyone who wanted to join in. So we felt, thanks to our sponsors who have been, as Florian stated, very generous in being patient with us and being generous in waiting for us to define the new format of the conference for this year. One of the things that we've benefited from is that we have not had, in hiring students and people to help do the logistics and organization, What we have not had to worry about is recouping most of that cost, because our funders have been spectacular. So we thank you very much for that. And we're very excited to be able to open this up to the world, really, and include everybody. That's, I guess, one of the benefits of these virtual events, is that they're inclusive in a way that we could not have imagined and can't really make practical when We Robot is so much focused on the physical gathering. So let's use that as our focus in thinking about how positive we can make this week, and how we can introduce so many of those discussions and dialogues into the week as possible as we move forward. So I guess now we turn to talking about what we have planned for the week in terms of the programming and how that's going to unfold. I will first direct, and at this point, I'm going to invite Katie and Florian to jump in anytime they hear something that is maybe inaccurate, or that I've lost track of.
Because some people have been asking in the chat, so obviously anybody that doesn't wear glasses or black can participate in that conversation, in that conference. We didn't coordinate it tonight, just discovered when we switched on our camera, but we just maybe because with that amazing painting that looks good, we wanted to showcase the amazing graphic that we're lucky to be able to use.
Sure. Okay. So with that, the first thing I'll say is that you can all go to the website to get a copy of, maybe Florian, I don't know if you can post a link or something like that just quickly. We have a conference schedule. The conference schedule is intended to facilitate these online sessions that we're going to be running. Now, the online sessions, for all those of you who have been to We Robot before know, the format is we have usually about 1 hour per session. It's either a single paper and a discussant, or a couple of papers or a few papers as a panel and a discussant. So the discussant at We Robot introduces the papers rather than the authors. And then there's usually a short back and forth between the author. The author has an opportunity to respond to the constructive comments and questions that the discussant has raised during their presentation of the work. And then typically what we do at We Robot is we open it to the floor, so questions can come in and people can then launch into a conversation. And then of course there's the conversation in the hallways and around and over lunch and things like that. So what we decided to do this year was to, in order to maintain that conversation between the discussant and the authors, we decided to pre-record sessions. So for every accepted paper or paper panel, we have a conversation that we've recorded. Some of those run, I think, and they run anywhere from 20 minutes to maybe, or 30 minutes to maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Some went a little bit longer. I don't know, Florian, you can probably specify. You've been helping out with the editing and previewing all of these. But these are the traditional back and forth between the discussant and the author, but then just opened up to a very casual and informative conversation. Though sometimes we're varying, well, in most cases, we're very engaging and sometimes went long. So another benefit of the virtual event is that we could capture those longer discussions between the discussant and the authors. Now, we will be releasing those at scheduled intervals in order to mimic a kind of program, right? So they're not all just blasted out at once. The program committee was very helpful in imagining how we could do this. So the idea is that once you go to the website, what you'll see is a description of the times, so the schedule for the times when these videos will be released on YouTube. They're all on our YouTube channel. And also you'll see a dedicated Twitter hashtag for each of the papers and the sessions. The idea is that you will be able to go to YouTube when at the launch time, And we've got this now. I don't know much about YouTube in this respect. Florian can fill in details if I get this wrong, but it's in premiere mode. So the idea is that the movie starts, the session recording starts at a very specific time, and anyone tuning in will essentially, it'll be like walking into the room while the discussion is happening. You don't have to press play or anything like that. I mean, it's just running as if it's a live event. And we are encouraging people to gather on Twitter around these dedicated hashtags that we've designed for each session and have a conversation that way. Certainly the opportunity exists for people to find other ways to, spawn off little conversations, side conversations on Zoom, on Teams, Hangout, however I would encourage Teams for the sake of our wonderful sponsor, Microsoft, which we use at the University of Ottawa and love. Uh, but certainly there are other ways that you can engage. The idea being that there are these timed intervals to dedicate a specific allocated, block of time to having conversations around these specific papers. We felt this was a great way to give the authors and the discussants their time and the specific focus that they deserve, having submitted these fantastic papers. And we feel that this year the papers are they're just wonderful. We're very excited to present them to everyone. So that's the idea.
So a couple additional details. I mean, if you happen to join late, you can join in on the conversation as it's happening, as if you're walking into the room. But you can also rewind the video back to the beginning and watch the whole thing, so you won't have missed out. And then after the premiere of any particular video, those videos are going to stay online. So you'll be able to go back if one of them happens to be during a time when you have a meeting or you're teaching or you have any of the other very important obligations that we all have in these pandemic times, the videos will be available to you. And so we're hopeful that people will watch them also at their convenience and participate in those conversations. If you are really excited about seeing the premiere of a particular paper, or you want to be part of the conversation while that one's happening, you can actually set a reminder. One of the cool functions of the premiere feature in YouTube is that if you go to any of those links that are on our website right now, you can see that there'll be a countdown, like premieres in 26 hours, premieres in 42 hours. Awesome. And then there's a place where you can click and say set reminder, and that will give you a little ping. And if you're like Jason, you'll want to set your reminder for about 2 hours before the actual event. And if you're like the rest of us, probably 10 or 15 minutes will do. But that will help you to remember that, oh wait, there's a really cool session happening this afternoon, and I'm so excited to be a part of that one. And then we can always go back and search those Twitter hashtags that are associated with each of the papers too. So helpfully, we have created a link online already to the Twitter search result for each of those hashtags. So if you click them right now, they're empty. There's nothing in there, unless they're a little too similar to something that already exists. But most of them will be empty. And hopefully you'll be able to, over the next couple of days, see people being like, oh, I read this paper, hashtag legal tech bias. Oh, I just love this one, hashtag sexbot policy, or whatever we decided that would be, sex tech policy. And that way you can participate in those conversations at different points.
No, exactly. And as Katie said, if you're more like a Twitter person than a YouTube person, or like Facebook or LinkedIn, you're like, we will share the links on the different platforms on Facebook and LinkedIn. Like every morning we will resend the schedule, and on Twitter, like for each video. So if you prefer to subscribe to like the Ottawa CLTS Twitter, for each video we will tweet the video as well as the hashtag of the conversation. So we invite you to like continue to open the thread below that video on Twitter, or like to do your own tweets, but very much like choose the platform that you prefer to have a conversation. And that's okay. There is like two conversations. This is actually what happened at Free Robot. Often there is the conversation in the room, and then there is the conversation on Twitter. And with some people, like some funders who like are watching on the live stream and like sending comments to the room. So yeah, just what matters is like let's have conversation about those amazing amazing papers.
So that, sorry, Katie, did you?
Yeah, so another thing that is really common at We Robot is the opportunity to connect with people over drinks or refreshments and have an opportunity to chat during the breaks. I know some of my greatest ideas have come through conversations with folks that I've had in between sessions at We Robot. And so we wanted to provide an opportunity for some of those things to still happen even in the digital format. So first of all, we're really grateful to Ryan Kalo and Sue Gluck, who have volunteered to host a We Robot cocktail hour. The We Robot cocktail hour will be on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So it's 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And we will be so excited if you're interested in sitting down with a drink and just chatting with some of your long lost We Robot colleagues, they will be facilitating that conversation on Thursday evening. But we've also left Wednesday evening open. We were thinking that if something organically cropped up, if there were folks who were on Twitter and were really excited to be chatting with one another and said, hey, let's do something tonight, let's organize something around a hashtag, we really invite and encourage you to do that. We didn't want to have it all scripted and scheduled out. Oh yeah, and then there's also this whole time zone thing, right? So if there are people that are joining us from different places in the world, there might be more convenient times for people to get together. I know I've got students this year who are logging in for what is a 4 p.m. class in Ottawa at 11 p.m. South Africa time. And that can be tough depending on what's happening. So
yeah, and that's also why we've decided with Katie and Jason to have that asynchronous model, so everybody can attend like all the session one way or the other, and you don't have to feel obliged to connect at 2 a.m. Local time, as I'm sure you have received such an invitation during that pandemic, so everybody can watch at the best moment for them those videos. And of course, on Friday, we will invite you all to reconnect at 5 p.m. Eastern. Like on the website, we made sure to indicate the time zone. And apparently in the chat, it seems that someone might organize a happy hour in Europe, so CET. Looking forward to it, and feel free to like send us the information on rerobot@ottawa.ca, and we will share that with the rest of the community, because we know that we have a lot of our speakers and attendees in Europe, in Africa, and we have also a lot of them in Asia, in Japan, in South Korea. So like, do not hesitate to reach out and make that like a global conversation. And so, as I was saying, we will wrap up that virtual edition on Friday at 5 p.m. We will thank again everybody, and we will unveil the recipients of the We Robot Awards. And maybe Katie, if you want to say a bit about this.
Sure. So this year we are giving 3 awards for the participants who wrote papers or gave posters. So all of the content is now online, and you'll be able to read the papers and review the posters over the next couple of days. And our program committee will be voting on the favorite papers. So in 3 categories. One is the best overall poster. One is the best overall paper submitted for this edition of We Robot. And the final one is the best paper written by an emerging scholar. In this case, we're counting in this category papers that are written by duos or groups if the listed first author would count as an emerging scholar. And the Emerging Scholar Award will be named the Ian R. Kerr Memorial Robotnik Award. in honor of our late mentor, who really dedicated a lot of his career to focusing on the work of young and emerging scholars. So we will be announcing those awards during the Friday event. All right, so if anyone has any questions, I just posted the, there's so many more comments now since I last did that, but the WeRobot at uottawa.ca email address will be a place that you can send your questions over the next couple of days if they pop up. You can also reach out to us on Twitter or using these conversation hashtags. But if anyone has any burning questions right now, we encourage you to post them in the chat so that we can address them right in real time.
No.
And I guess unlike the usual in-person conference where we would then turn things over to the first discussant and author, here we have a gap. So the programming starts tomorrow morning. I want to emphasize again something that I don't think spent enough time talking about in the kind of description of the program. We had a number of excellent posters submitted this year as well. So I would highly recommend that you go to the website where you can see all of the posters. So they're online in PDF format, and you'll be able to review all the excellent work that people have done in the poster format and submitted as posters. And as Katie said, we'll be awarding a Best Poster Award as we have done in previous years. So I just want to emphasize that because normally we have that opportunity to walk around and see the posters at a throughout the day, but this requires you to do some work on your own to go find them. But we would encourage you to do that because they are excellent, and I don't want to make it seem as though they're second tier or something like that. They're an important part of the programming, so please do click through to the website and look at those posters.
Exactly, and as someone just asked in the chat, or to engage with the posters, again, like jump on Twitter with the WeRobot 2020 hashtag and like ask your question, tag the author, etc. Like, yeah, of course, like we welcome conversation about the posters. And maybe on that, so it's gonna be like a week of events, of tweeting, of social media, of videos, etc. We didn't do that just ourselves on our computer. Over the summer. We had to organize the initial conference and then to reorganize everything virtually. We were supported by an amazing team, not of robots, but of like human beings. And we would like to acknowledge them and to thank them. So first, like personally, I would like to thank my EA, Webed/Hab, who has been like helping us for the administration, the finance, dealing with like the flight tickets, the reimbursement, the COVID mess on that side, and also my former EA, Camille Sigouin, qui nous a aidé dans les premières heures de WeRobot. To book the rooms, to schedule the first meeting, etc., and as well as Veronique Poulain, who has been helping out with the administration, and to organize that virtual event. And nothing would have been possible without Catherine Marie Robinson, that we really want to thank. She has provided an amazing support to the organization committee over the summer. She reached out to the authors, to the discussant, to the co-chairs, scheduling like all those meetings, all the amazing recordings that you will discover this week, making sure that the latest version of the papers or like online, that everything is correct. Of course, all the errors are like with us, but all the good things are with them. And all the communications, the early social media, the recordings, the post-production of those recordings, including late, very late last night, because we had our last recording yesterday morning. I would like to thank Michelle Ronsky, who has been my communication assistant for the past year and has been amazing, an amazing help for We Robots. And I would like also to thank and welcome the latest addition to our team, who has been working over the weekend to make sure that everything will be ready, and that will be working tonight on the recording of that welcome event. And over the week, we'll make sure that you receive all the information by email, on social media, etc. So Omar Algoberry was in helping us with the website, the videos, and the virtual event tonight, as well as Zoe Bouchescu and Safa Saoud will be helping us in sharing those videos and with the social media and the online conversations. So thank you so much to that amazing team who has been supporting us over, it's like now more than a year, like spending, it's starting even before the past free robot, and like we have been on fire, like doing our best to organize the most amazing real robot ever. COVID kind of like put a break on it, but we hope that we will deliver for you, and you will enjoy that week as much as we enjoyed organizing it.
One of the things that's become really clear while we've been putting together all of the online sessions is just how motivated people are to connect on these issues. I can't tell you how many of these online sessions that I have moderated where after we've turned off the recording, we kept talking about the issues for another 20 or 30 minutes because people are missing that real-time connection, right? We're living our lives on Zoom. We have all kinds of family and home obligations, and those little conversations in the hallway before or after meetings over coffee, that spontaneity is really missing. And it's really coming through in, to me, that people are craving this intellectual connection. And it is my great hope that over the next couple of days, what we've put together will offer some of that and a chance to do things that are not scheduled, do things other than just that Zoom meeting that you log into and then log off of because you have another one 5 minutes later. And so if we all connect in this way, perhaps we can come up with some great ideas that will help further the advancement of this field.
So on that note, I guess I just want to make sure we've covered everything. We've given you an idea of how the week is going to unfold. There are a couple of events, just notably the Thursday evening cocktail hour with Ryan and Sue. Then the closing event, which we want you to keep in your calendars. I guess in between then, it's really up. What we're saying is that it's up to you. I have no doubt, based on the comments that I'm seeing roll by, that I'm like renewed with confidence that people are going to connect, and that this is going to be a really interesting few days. I mean, I've also seen some, I guess we're about to wrap up. I guess that's the idea. But I've seen some comments here that people are interested in having cocktail hour right now. I mean, Florian, if you want to transfer ownership to me of the meeting, I'm happy to stay online, pour myself a beer, and whoever wants to connect and chat and turn on your video and your microphones, I'm happy to say hi and meet some of you. And you know, this is impromptu, so I don't want to put pressure on anyone who has things to do, but I'm happy to do that. So I'll stick around if Florian can transfer, because I'm just worried. You're gonna hang out too?
I will stick around. We don't need to have my full agenda on the recording. Let's discuss this after.
Perfect.
But on that note, so thank you everybody to have been present for that formal launch of ReRobot 2020 virtual edition. Let's continue the conversation tonight, and like let's stay connected this week, beyond this week, but like this week, engage in the conversation. It was lovely to see you all tonight. Join us so on the conversation Twitter, YouTube on Thursday night for the happy hour at 5 p.m. Pacific, so 8 p.m. Eastern. And until then, we hope to see you all again on Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern this time for the closing event, the award ceremony, and also awards from our founders and some sneak peek on We Robot 2021. On that note, have all a lovely evening and looking forward to this conversation this week. Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.